Hey, what's going on guys? It's me, Aiden, from Cartoon Apocalypse, and today I'm back with another Star vs. the Forces of Evil theory video. Now, this video is actually one that was kind of brought to my attention from a user by the name of Laura YUC, which told me a couple days ago, OMG, also something that both you and the roundtable missed is that we see Ludo's old monsters, the giraffe, bear with a unicorn horn, and man arm, are holding hands and jumping up and down. They're shouting very excitedly, wedding, wedding. Now, I actually thought that that was them saying that we're ready, but after getting this point out to me saying that, hey, that's probably actually a wedding, a lot of things started clicking and started making sense. And so over the past couple days, I've just been kind of thinking about this whole, what it could mean, who's the wedding between, and I've kind of gone through a lot of my ideas and kind of came up with my conclusion. Now, from the title of the video that it probably is, it's most likely going to be Eclipsa and Globgor's wedding, and I'll talk about when, what episode I think this will be. Also, when I think that Globgor will be freed, because obviously to have a wedding, Globgor has to be freed, and I think that this wedding is most likely them, so I'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's first talk about that clip in general, because when I'd made my analysis, I didn't really dive too deep into what I thought, but now let's go ahead and actually take a look at that clip and dive deeper into what it is.
In a universe full of monsters, humans.
So we can see the giraffe and the bear holding hands and jumping up and down saying wedding, or at least that's what it sounds like. Again, we can't really pinpoint what it says because it's kind of hard to hear, but it is most likely a wedding. Now we see them and man arm, and they're just here at what looks to be ruins of some kind. Now I did mention in my analysis video that this could be Ludo's castle, and if we look back to the episode Storm the Castle, we can actually see Ludo's castle, and the pillar, or at least what I think is the pillar at the back behind Manarm, it has a very similar style to what we see in Storm the Castle. So that gives it a little bit of, credibility, hey, that might actually be a plausible point. Here's my counter though. After Star did the whispering spell, we can see a shot of Star and Marco just kind of in the destruction, and the problem is there's no ruins whatsoever. It's just kind of all gone. Now this could be a whole separate angle, or maybe it's just a building near it that has the same style. I don't exactly know, but from the shots that we've seen from Storm the Castle, it doesn't look like there's many ruins at all from Ludo's castle, so that gives it a little bit, not even just a little bit, a lot of less credibility, just because a couple other buildings might have the same style of building, or as far as pillar goes, but I don't exactly know. And if we take a look at the background there, we can see some very spiky mountains, and also that same shot of Ludo's castle has very similar spiky backgrounds to that. So again, there's a lot of conflicting info here, and I don't exactly know which one it is. I'm going to lean more towards it's not Ludo's castle. Also, another point pointing it to be Ludo's castle is these monsters were originally a part of Ludo's clan or something, I don't know. But this could just be a rounding up point, and maybe this is Ludo's castle and they're rounding up, getting ready for the wedding. I don't exactly know, but I'm sure we'll find out in the episode when it comes out. Now, we did also go through the other monster temples that we've seen throughout the show, and they don't have very similar pillars. The pillars from the other monster temple from Monster Bash just doesn't look very similar, and in the episode The Hard Way, the pillars also look similar to the ones in Monster Bash, so we can assume that it's not that temple. So now, kind of with that actual clip after that being analyzed, let's go ahead and talk about why I think it's Eclipsa and Globgor. Now, it is important to keep in mind, because we can narrow down the selection drastically, what's being said a little bit before this clip. The announcer, which I believe is Adam MacArthur actually, is saying monsters, and then it shows this clip. Now, this could just be a coincidence that they're saying wedding, but I feel like they wouldn't put that in there just as a coincidence. Maybe it is, and that's totally a possibility, but with the announcer saying monsters and then showing the clip of monsters saying a wedding, that makes me believe the wedding is going to have something to do with monsters, just because it kind of makes sense, because I'm sure there's tons of clips that they could have used for monsters, And also, I'm sure there's other people saying wedding. So just to put the two together, it makes a lot of sense that it would be a wedding involving a monster. And as we know, Globgor is a monster. So that's kind of where I think that plays into. So then, out of all the monsters who are getting married, and that's the problem, we don't really know too many monsters. Like, maybe it could be the spider bite princess and that slime guy, but I doubt it. They're kind of young to be getting married, so I doubt that's the wedding. And just really, they've really been pushing Eclipsa and Globgor, so that's just my guess. Now, it could be wrong, and that's totally a possibility. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about this idea. But I'm having a hard time coming up with any other people for a wedding. And it could just be some oddball wedding like they did in Booth Buddies, where it was Rubariat and I can't remember the other girl's name, but they were getting married. So again, it could be some minor characters that we haven't really known about. But my guess is, from the episode titles that I'll be going through in a minute, that it is Eclipsa and Globgor, because I did make a pretty interesting discovery that I think you'll all be interested about. But before we talk about the episode titles, I also do want to mention that these are monsters. They're getting excited about a wedding because they haven't really ever been to a wedding, I don't think at least. Because it's Eclipsa and Globgor, Eclipsa invited anybody pretty much. All the monsters, she invited them because she's getting married to a monster and she's trying to make things fair. So not only is she letting just humans go, but also monsters, and that's why they're getting so excited, and just that's why they're going to a wedding in general, because it's Eclipsa's wedding. And I guarantee you, most other humans at this point in time, just, you know, your typical human, wouldn't let monsters, like, without any special modifications, come there yet, because they're not used to having monsters around yet. So that's just my thought on this. And again, those are some of my points to why I think this is Eclipsa and Globgor. It also just makes sense. Now, I have one more point to add to why I believe that this is Eclipsa and Globgor's wedding and not anybody else's. We can see from the promo that Marco is babysitting Meteora. Now, why would Marco have to babysit Meteora? He doesn't really seem like the kind who babysit. I mean, sure, he's responsible, but he just doesn't seem like the kind of person who would tolerate it. But the whole reason why Meteora is being babysat right now is unknown. But if it was because of a wedding, it makes a lot of sense, because Eclipsa doesn't want Meteora out there because, you know, she's going to cause a fit and all that stuff. So she just doesn't want Meteora interfering in it. So she asks Marco, or in this case Star, maybe, to help babysit her. Now, there's a couple more points of evidence to support this. Obviously, Marco is in a monster temple because we can see a little monster on the painting before Star opens up the door on the next shot. But we can also see Star's outfit. And this is very big because the last time we saw Star in this outfit, as far as I remember, is the episode Monster Bash. And if we remember, the Monster Bash was a big celebration, or it was supposed to be, of monsters and humans coming together. And that's exactly what Eclipsa and Globgor are doing. They're two different species coming together. And I feel like this is a really big point. Not only that, Star says that she's busy, and like Monster Bash, she probably wants to make this a success. She wants to redeem herself with how Monster Bash went, so she's going to try her best. And my guess is the room that Meteora is in with Marco is also where Eclipsa is getting ready, or maybe not getting ready, but she's doing something in there, and when Star hears her screaming, she comes in to check on her, and just things like that. So that's my guess for this, and now let's go ahead and move on. So because this clip was shown in the promo, and my guess is that all of those promo clips are going to be episodes that we've seen as far as this first roundup, which includes 8 episodes, 13 if you want to count each separate, 10-minute section as an episode. But we have to pinpoint in one of these sections where we think this episode can actually go. Because, I mean, we have some episodes that we can just, throw out of the picture, like Curse of the Blood Moon, Kelly's World, not going to be those. The Ponyhead Show, most likely not going to be those. Butterfly Follies and Escape from the Pie Folk, not going to be those. And we can assume that Swimsuit, Lake House Fever, and Down by the River, maybe not Down by the River, but Swimsuit and Lake House Fever, we can also assume probably aren't going to be those. Now, Moon Remembers, I feel like is going to be a plot-driven episode that is actually going to be freeing Globgor, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. So I don't think that that's the actual wedding episode. So that pretty much leaves, in my opinion, Ransomgram, Down by the River, Surviving the Spider Bites, and Out of Business. And I doubt that Curse of the Blood Moon is with the Eclipsa. Well, it could be, but I doubt it. Now, I believe that one episode where we see adult Marco, I believe that to be Ransomgram or Yada Yada Berries, or possibly Out of Business. I don't believe that those are going to be anything else. So I'm just going to remove Ransomgram because I feel like that's most likely what adult Marco, what that episode is going to be. Down by the River, I feel like is going to be just an episode where we see Moon and River getting together and things, because we did see some clips with them together. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense for Down by the River. So that leaves Yada Yada Berries, Surviving the Spider Bites, and Out of Business. Now, Out of Business just doesn't sound like a wedding type theme. And Yada Yada Berries, while it does, that's definitely a good contender, I'm leaning more towards Surviving the Spider Bites. And this is really big because I have a lot of evidence, or at least I have a really big point of evidence, to why it's Surviving the Spider Bites. First of all, I think they're going to need more time to introduce Globgor as a character, so putting it as Surviving the Spider Bites makes more sense because it's one of the later episodes that's being aired, so it gives the episode actual time to be run and we get to actually see Globgor getting freed. Not only that, it's not super far away. I know Out of Business, which was the other contestant, was just like literally the next episode, but it's not super far away to where it's unreasonable, because I feel like when Eclipsa frees Globgor, she's going to want to officially get married, because from what I've seen in the Book of Spells, they're not officially married. So that's just kind of what I think from Eclipsa's point of view, because Eclipsa obviously really loves Globgor, so I think that that's a viable thing for her to do. And now for the big reason for why I think Surviving the Spider Bites is going to be this episode. Now, let me first start off by saying the wedding is most likely not going to take up the full episode, because they can just show the main parts in like a minute or two and be done with it. They don't need to spend an entire episode on a wedding. That would just get kind of boring. So to do that, they're going to have Eclipsa play a backstory. Either she's going to be explaining something like the bride does, and she's going to be telling a flashback story, or maybe she's just telling some other story. The point is, she's telling a story about surviving the spider bites. And if you guys remember, King Shastakan was the prince of the spider bite kingdom. And that is why I think that the episode Surviving the Spider Bites is going to be the wedding, because it's going to include Eclipsa talking about a flashback during the wedding of some kind, just talking about how she survived the spider bites, because in the Book of Spells, she really made it clear that just living with King Shastakan was really annoying and she just did not like it. So it makes a lot of sense for her to say something like this, because in the Book of Spells, because she was actually married to King Shastakan, and that just kind of relates to this previous wedding, and just everything about it just makes sense just because it's a wedding theme. I think that she'd be talking about her experiences with her past spouse, and it's just, I feel like that just makes the most sense. If you guys agree, you can leave a like and subscribe, I guess. I don't know. But that's why I think that that's that, because it just makes a lot of sense. So I was pretty happy when I made that discovery. But now let's go ahead and talk about when Globgor will be freed, because that's the next big point, and then we're done with this video. So pretty much the episodes Moon Remembers, Ransomgram, and Yada Yada Berries are left open. Now I'm going to lean less towards Yada Yada Berries because, like my point earlier, it's really close to Surviving the Spider Bites, and I feel like they'd want to have at least a couple episodes where Globgor is appearing. So I'm going to cross Yada Yada Berries out, and like I said earlier, Ransomgram is most likely that elemental type episode where we see adult Marco. So we're also going to cross that out. So Moon Remembers is the episode I'm putting my money on. Now the reason for this is because I believe the episode Moon Remembers is going to involve Moon remembering the crystal pulverizing spell from the Book of Spells, because as we know, the Book of Spells isn't here, and maybe everybody doesn't really remember all the spells from the Book of Spells. So I feel like that episode is going to be Moon remembering a big point about how to free Globgor, which is the CPS, the crystal pulverizing spell, which we do know can pulverize any crystal, even Romulus's. So I feel like that's what that episode is going to be about, and that's why I think that Moon Remembers is going to be the episode that Globgor is freed. Now, it could just be another episode, it could be Ransomgram, it could be Swimsuit, we don't know, but those are my guesses for when this episode or when these episodes will be airing and what title they correspond with, and just everything about it. So I do believe that there's a big possibility that Eclipsa and Globgor will be having a wedding sometime in this season, so that's pretty awesome and I'm excited to see that. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for this video. What did you guys think? Did you guys like this video? Do you think my ideas are correct or accurate? I don't know. This is just what I've been thinking about. Leave your suggestions for videos down in the description below, because if I get an idea I can hook onto, I can really dive deep into it like I did with this one. Or if you'd like to converse with us in our Discord, you can join that. It's a free Discord channel. You can just join it and talk with us as a community and come up with theories and things like that. And it's really awesome. So expect some more videos for Star coming soon, but that's going to be it for me today, and I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.
But could you really blame me?